Welcome, LifeBlood. This is George G, and the time is right. Welcome to today's guest, strong and powerful Sherry Fernandez. Sherry, are you ready to do this?
I am.
All right, let's go. Sherry is a personal development coach with Life Mastery. She's working to help others with their personal progression and working towards infinite potential. Sherry, I'm excited to have you on. Tell us a little bit about your personal life, some more about your work, and why you do what you do.
I sometimes ask myself that question. Where retired, I told you I don't usually get up this early. It's because I dreamed for the day I didn't have to get up quite so early. But I just it flows out of me. The work that I do, I don't think I could stop it. So I keep thinking, oh, well, just maybe another year. I'll do this for a little bit longer. But I think I'll do it till I die. It's just like I breathe. I do it like I breathe, and I feel like I have a lot to offer. And I'm making a difference, and I see it in the faces of my clients and the calls that they get. And I just I just feel like as long as I can do this, but I'll just do it.
Well, I certainly appreciate that. And I think that you've got a handful of grandkids too. Is that right?
Yeah. We've been married 45 years next month,
Hmm,
and we've got
amazing.
21 grandchildren. We have 6 children and 21 grandchildren. So that's kind of our life. We're family people, always been that way, and so everything else is sort of incidental to that. But we've been able to have a well-rounded, successful life by the principles I teach, and I dug those out myself. Had to in my day there wasn't coaches and mentors and people to help, and we had nothing, and we sought out the principles of success and a well-rounded success. I wanted it all in every area and learned how to do that. And we've been very successful. And now I just feel a responsibility to teach it to other people.
Well, certainly congratulations on 45 years of marriage. That's amazing. And six
Thinking,
incredible kids and 21 amazing grandkids. So
yeah,
that looks like a pretty well-rounded, successful life to me.
yeah. I believe that that's what I have is a very well-rounded, successful life.
We are talking a lot about, as a society, mental health and balance and well-roundedness these days, but that has not always been the case. But you were intentional about that early on.
Yes, I was intentional. I wanted to be able to have those babies and still have a rocking hot body. I missed my education because I partied through those years. I wanted to be educated. I wanted to have if I was going to get married, which originally I did never wanted to do, I was going to have the best marriage possible. And of course, the finances, we were just about as destitute as two people could be in the beginning, especially because we didn't get the education. And I didn't want to be like money. I wanted to have what I wanted to have and go where I wanted to go and do what I wanted to do. And my husband had some financial goals of his own to be a millionaire by the time he was 40. And we had a slow start, but we made it. And yeah, so in every area in my integrity as a person, I wanted to be a person that people could count on and look towards. And so just went to work on me.
I think that that statement of you wanted to have what you wanted to have, do what you wanted to do, and go where you wanted to go. That's certainly something that I think resonates with me 100% and with most people. So you knew that you didn't have traditional education, yet you were able to learn these principles and then apply them. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it started off, it'd been this like hippie girl and no disciplines. I'd never been a very disciplined person. I always had a lot of a wanting, I think, in me, but not in personal disciplines. Now people are surprised to hear that and know me because my hallmark is personal discipline because that's where it starts, right? You have to, and it grows a little bit at a time, just like a muscle. Your personal discipline, self discipline, and I went to work on doing that first. You just had to develop some habits and work towards some daily habits and some weekly, monthly habits, and just did that. And as people watched the changes in me and my husband, we were on the same page there. I had opportunities more than he did actually because he was running these businesses. But I had the opportunity to teach. People would ask me, "Could you teach this? Could you teach this?" And I began speaking, and then people would seek me for personal advice. And then I built a fitness business that gave me a platform also for personal development. So I taught fitness, and we had Fit Mania and then Fit Life. I got to teach personal development, but just seeing the joy that comes out of people's lives when they start moving forward. It's the coolest thing when you start making a difference in your life. The happiness comes right away. You mentioned about there's a lot of unhappiness and unrest, I think, in the world, and a lot of depression, anxiety. Not that there is not a lot that's really chemically there and maybe a toxic environment, but much of the unhappiness is just because people don't know how to move from here to there. It feels daunting to got 20 pounds to lose. I need to get out of debt. I need to work on a budget. I'd like to have an education in this area, and they don't know how to get from here to there. But it's just the baby steps forward, and the happiness comes. And that, I think, is in a crux what jazzes me about personal development is that's the key to happiness. We start moving towards our potential, we're happier. When we're stuck, we're not happy. It's really kind of that simple.
It is kind of that simple, isn't it?
Yes,
Why
it's
do
simple
we?
but difficult.
Yeah, yeah. I like to say that it sounds easy but does hard. Um, so where how does beliefs, attitude, mindset fit in?
I had a rather rocky childhood that should have destroyed me. And somehow I just believed in myself. Even when I was a little girl, I just knew someday I was going to grow up and do great things. I don't know how to transfer that into other people. It just seemed to come naturally to me. But it's critically important that we know that we're worth it.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people who talk about self worth, but in a way that they stomp their foot and demands it. You have to earn it, but you also have to know that you're worth it before you'll do the work, if that makes sense. You have to know that you're valuable enough to be worth the fortune that you want to make and the body that you want to have and the education that you want to have and the character that you want to have, that you are fundamentally valuable and worth the effort.
So you're saying that a lot of the conversation around self-worth today is like this is something you just absolutely have to have, so figure out how to do it.
Well, I think that you have to have enough to get started. And it's like a cycle, right? The more that I work on me, the more confidence and self worth I have. We can't just look in the mirror and think, gosh, you're worth it all, even though it's true, and stomp our foot and demand that the world respect us
Hmm.
until we do the work to respect ourselves, right? It's got to be internal, but it comes from you move forward a little bit, you exercise a few disciplines, the self worth grows, and then you know that you can do more, and the self worth grows. So we have it's kind of a cycle thing. The more we work on ourselves, the more our confidence grows. The more we want to work on ourselves, the more we feel like we deserve, and the more we do deserve, because we have worked on us, and we're more valuable to the world, more valuable to the different enterprises we have because we worked on us.
Yeah. Well, I've certainly experienced that firsthand of that virtuous cycle that you just get started, even though it's really hard. You maybe don't believe it's going to work, but then it starts to work and you start making that progress and your confidence muscle shows up and then it starts to
Yeah,
grow and as long as you keep everything moving, that's you wake up a year, 2 years, 3 years later and your life is different.
yeah, exactly. And sometimes well, for almost always, my clients will get into the work a little bit, and will be maybe 2 or 3 months in. They'll start to feel discouraged. And I'll look where you've been in 2 or 3 months, and the energy and excitement returns. They've done so much in such a short. That's the value of coaching, right? Mentoring is anybody can do it. You can do it on your own just to move forward, but have somebody to mentor you or coach you can speed up the process a little bit if you have the right kind of coach. And I don't know, to be honest, there's a bazillion coaches and mentors out there. I don't know hardly anybody. I don't know anybody, to be honest, who does the work the way that I do it. I don't know why that is. So maybe they're out there. I'm just too busy to observe it. But to make sure that the person that you're working with is on higher ground than you, for starters. But yeah, that's the value of coaching, is to kind of speed up that process. But it's still one step at a time. There's no, in this society, we think because we see these tech wizards who seem like they made instant fortunes, I think we feel like I should be able to just leap from this spot to where I want to be. I just should be able to um, get there quick. And there's not any get there quick. Even those tech wizards or the other people that seem like they had instant success, they've worked for it. It's been one step at a time. Very rarely, if ever, is there any other way?
Yeah, yeah, we are easily seduced, and it's a very human thing to be seeing people from the outside in, or just looking at them from afar and thinking, "Oh wow, look at that immediate success," when very, 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 very rarely, if ever, is that actually the case. So I appreciate that. You mentioned that you make sure that you're putting the people that you're working with on higher ground than you are. Tell me more about that.
No, yeah, I think the coach needs to be on higher ground than the
Okay.
person they're working with. So I see, like, I do a lot of networking and out there. I meet people just because I feel like that's the best way for me to touch lives and make a difference. But I'm so interested. It's kind of faded down a little bit because I think they've realized they can't make any money if you're 25 year old life coach. But you have to work with somebody. Like, you don't want to work with a financial planner that's broke, or a fitness trainer that's fat. You want to work with people who have achieved things, at least to a degree that you can respect, that you want somebody you can look at and say, I want to be like that, or at least have that kind of success. And so when you look for a life coach or a mentor, you want to find somebody who's successful, at least in the things that are most important to you. And hopefully, from my perspective, that's got mastery over their entire life. In other words, you want to work with somebody, yes, a good financial advisor, but maybe that also can advise you in your finances, in your health, in your relationships, that has been successful in life, enough success that you can admire them. And so you can't have that if you're 25. You haven't lived long enough to have the wisdom to help somebody else get there, or the success. There could be exceptions, I suppose, but I think generally speaking, you need to live a while to be able to help other people live well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So when you start working with somebody, what does the process usually look like? Initial conversations, what does it look like?
I have a workbook that I've used for a decade. It's actually now available on Amazon because I decided just to make it just as was, put it up on Amazon for people who have the book. But we start with a conversation that's free because I want to make sure it's a good fit for not just for them but for me, because I have a limited number of people that I work with because I travel a lot and I have a lifestyle of my own I like to protect. So I have a limited number, so I make sure it's a good fit. And then we start right off with, and I talk about this in the book, but big dreams list, or some people might think it's a bucket list, but it's a little more expansive than that. And I do that not because it's the most important thing in many ways, but because it gets people thinking big. It teaches them how to identify and have parameters around what a goal accomplished looks like. It just teaches a lot of principles, right? It gets people in the right frame of mind. But then I go right to work after that. We go right to work with tracking your daily habits. It's really all about what you do every day. And pretty much everybody chooses from a pool of about probably 10 different habits. Maybe it's meditation or prayer, reading, working out, drinking more water. That's a common one. And we start tracking. They pick some daily habits that they want to work on. And I do a little bit of guidance. We don't want to start working on something that isn't, I've talked enough to them at that point. They know kind of where they want to go in life. We want to make sure that we're doing habits that are going to be useful for their future. But usually they start there. We just start tracking daily habits and get them established. And then with a little more time, I add, not everything that you want to accomplish can be tracked. Like if I want to be more honest, for example, I want to be a person of integrity. It's really hard to track how many times I've been honest in a day. Or
Hmm.
maybe I want to be kinder, or laugh more. There's some things you can't really track. So written affirmations, and I do say written art affirmations daily, every day, same ones you write, you pick them out and you work on them every day. That's the bomb for those kind of goals. So I teach that next. And then they have 2 systems that they can start setting their goals. Then we start working on goals, and I show them how that you have action steps to your goals, and they fit into, I do have a 3rd system too, but every action step fits into one of those 3 systems, because it's all about systems. The reason people fail in their goals is because they don't have good systems. I really believe that people are sincere when they set New Year's resolutions or they set goals. We laugh about it, but the reason they fail is they don't have a good system. They haven't been taught any good systems. So I'm really about the systems, about tracking, especially tracking what you do every day, and just that's how you build the disciplines. That's how you build the kind of person you want to be. That's how you get the things done. I'm a salesman. I need to make 20 phone calls a day. Well, you track that. or I need to, I want to be fit because fitness always affects the bottom line. Then let's track what you're doing. Am I working out every day? And if you get the systems, you understand the systems, the goals take care of themselves often. Oftentimes you can skip the writing part of the goal. Not that you should always do that, but there's sometimes you can, and go right to the systems once you've got the good habit of tracking your goals every day, tracking your daily habits and weekly habits, monthly habits.
That's where the truth is, right?
Yeah.
Did I
Peter
do it?
Drucker said, what gets measured gets managed, and that's how you manage yourself.
Why do we resist that?
I don't know. But by the time they signed up with me, they know what they're getting. They're not ready. They're ready. They're ready to say, I need to make some change. I think one reason we might is because you don't know where to start. I had to start with a young couple last night, and I don't usually do two people together, but we started them as a couple. And they'd been in one of my workshops, and so they were already familiar with some of the things they teach in tracking, but they had this whole list of things they were tracking, but they weren't tracking very successfully. So we had to have our whole conversation last night was, let's narrow it down to some things we can do 100% for a while, and then we'll add some more and add some more. But I think that was what was sinking them, is they had all these things, and yeah, you want to do them all, but not right this minute. Let's just start with, and I would recommend anybody starting this process, do a couple of things you'll be successful at, and have a couple that challenge you, and just start there, and then build, because you have your whole lifetime to do this. I track any given time. I'm tracking probably 10 to 12 items, daily items, but I've been doing this for 40 years. If you're new, let's just track maybe 3 items or 4 items, at least one being something you already have down pretty good, so you can see some success. And then, in a few weeks, we can add another one and another one when we've got those down. I think that is this, again, it's that wanting to leap to success right away with one big bound, rather than taking it one step at a time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You get this spark of motivation and you're ready to go. It's New Year's or whatever the psychology behind that, and I'm going to do these 10 things. Well, probably not. Let's start with three items or something like that, and build all those muscles, the consistency and the discipline, and just get started with that, and then you can add in.
Yeah, this building that discipline, then you can do some harder things that maybe are really daunting to you because you built that discipline. And again, making sure when you set that goal, you have a system, you have a tracking system, way to track yourself, and make sure that you accomplish the things that you set out for yourself. I think what happens, somebody sets this goal, this New Year's goal, like I'm going to work out and I'm going to get fit, and I get my clothes and I get my gym membership, I'm all ready to go, and I do really good for a couple of weeks, and then the kids get sick, and one day the car breaks down, and then pretty soon there's some other things, and then you forget what you were even doing. If you're tracking your goals, if you do have a bad day, you know right where to pick up again the next day. There it is in front of you. You have that habit of tracking your goals every day. If you just have that one habit, you go back to that tracking sheet. I had one week where I had 2 women who had been really sick that week, like both of them really sick, and they both came back with the same story. This time, in the past, that would have derailed me, but I knew right where to pick up because I was using my tracking sheet. And so that's one of the values of, or many values, there's much value in having good systems. So it keeps you on track, makes them happen. But again, yeah, not too many habits to start with.
I love it. It makes a ton of sense. Well, Sherry, thank you so much for coming on. Where can people learn more about you? How can they engage with you? Where can they get a copy of the workbook?
The Amazon, of course, is available. The book, Life Mastery, Personal Progression towards an Infinite Potential, is available on Amazon and on Audible. And there's also, of course, the ebook. And then the workbook is also available on Amazon, Life Mastery. The workbook are available on Amazon. You can contact me at lifemasteryinfo.com. That would be Sherry, actually, at lifemasteryinfo.com. It's a website, and I'm very accessible. I return. This is my jam, right? This is how I'm making a difference. So I return emails, and so if you want to contact me, I'm easy.
Excellent.
Sherry at lifemasteryinfo.com.
And the website is lifemasteryinfo.com.
Website is lifemasteryinfo.com. There's some downloads. Those tracking sheets I'm talking about, they're free. You can download those, as well as a reading list and a couple of other things that are available for download on the website, totally free.
Excellent. Well, if you enjoyed this as much as I did, share your
I
appreciation and share today's show with a friend who also appreciates good ideas. Go to lifemasteryinfo.com. Send Sherry a message at Sherry, that's Sherry, at lifemasteryinfo.com. Pick up a copy of Life Mastery wherever at Amazon, and I will link that in the notes of the show as well as the workbook. And then, yeah, get started. Get started taking those small steps and
it is.
finding those positive habits and start getting closer to that life that you actually want to live. Thanks
And
again,
that
Sherry.
happiness will come with the first step. Thank you so much for having a good host. I really appreciate it. And thank you for taking your time with me.
Well, I
Let me share
appreciate
my
it as
thoughts.
well. Thank you.
You have
And,
a good day.
and until next time, remember, do your part by doing your best.